In a crowded cafe, a billionaire's perfectly trained service dog suddenly stops, refusing to move, its eyes locked on a young waitress no one else notices. Patrons watch in confusion as the dog pushes against the leash, ignoring commands, drawn to her as if pulled by something invisible. The billionaire feels a strange, chilling familiarity, a memory he thought buried forever stirring in his chest. In that moment, the air seems to pause, and the ordinary world fades, leaving only the dog, the waitress, and a secret that will change both their lives forever. What could make a loyal, disciplined animal disobey its master and choose a stranger instead? Stay with us, because what happens next will leave you speechless.
The dog stopped walking. In the middle of a crowded city cafe, surrounded by polished marble floors, low music, and the quiet confidence of money, the billionaire's service dog suddenly froze. Its powerful body tensed, leash tightening in the billionaire's hand, its eyes locked onto something unseen by everyone else. The air shifted, subtle but undeniable, as if fate itself had taken a breath. People turned, cups clinked, time slowed. And in that moment, no one knew that a single step refused by a dog would unravel a past soaked in grief, guilt, and a truth buried far deeper than wealth could ever reach. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, because stories like this remind us that sometimes the purest hearts walk on four legs. The billionaire was a man the world admired from a distance and envied up close. His name dominated business headlines, his face appeared on magazine covers, and his wealth was spoken of in numbers too large to imagine. Yet beneath the tailored suit and controlled expression lived a man hollowed out by loss. Years earlier, tragedy had taken something from him that no fortune could replace, leaving behind a silence that echoed louder than applause ever could. His service dog was not a symbol or accessory, it was a necessity. Trained, disciplined, and fiercely loyal, the dog was the one presence that kept him anchored during moments when the weight of memory became unbearable. That morning, he had entered the cafe not for pleasure, but routine. Routine was safe, predictable. He sat near the window, sunlight cutting across the table, and ordered without looking at the menu. His eyes stayed distant, his mind elsewhere, until the dog shifted. Slowly at first, then with growing urgency, the dog turned its head toward the counter, where a young waitress moved quietly between tables. She was unremarkable in the way people who have learned to disappear often are. Early 20s, tired eyes, hair pulled back without care, uniform slightly loose on a frame shaped more by hardship than youth. She carried herself as someone used to being overlooked, her movements efficient, almost apologetic. The dog stood. The billionaire tightened his grip, confused. The dog had never disobeyed, never. Yet now it stepped forward, ignoring commands, pulling toward the waitress with a determination that bordered on desperation. Patrons watched with curiosity. The manager frowned. The waitress noticed last, startled when she saw the animal sitting at her feet, tail still, eyes soft but intense. She froze, unsure whether to move or apologize, her hands trembling slightly as she held a tray against her chest. The billionaire rose, embarrassed, frustrated, unsettled. He pulled gently, then firmly, but the dog refused to leave her side. Something ancient and instinctive had taken over, something no training could override. The dog pressed closer, its head resting against her leg, as if it had finally found home after a long search. The waitress's breath caught. She hadn't been touched like that in years, not gently, not with expectation. Her eyes filled with tears she didn't understand, and she looked down quickly, ashamed of the sudden emotion. She tried to step back, but the dog followed, unwavering, as if tethered by an invisible thread. The billionaire felt it then, the familiar tightness in his chest, the warning sign of memories pushing their way back.
His heart raced, his palms dampened, and he struggled to steady himself. He asked the manager for a moment, apologized to the guests, and focused on regaining control. But control slipped further away with each second the dog remained there, guarding a stranger as if she were the most precious thing in the room. He watched her closely now, not the uniform, not the job, but her face. Something about her eyes unsettled him. Not familiarity exactly, but recognition, like seeing a reflection distorted by time. The feeling grew heavier, sharper, and deeply uncomfortable. He told himself it was nothing, trauma playing tricks, grief refusing to stay buried. Yet the dog knew better. The waitress knelt slowly, unsure why she did, and placed her hand near the dog's head without touching it. The dog leaned into her palm, sighing, a sound full of relief. Her shoulders shook as she fought silent tears, memories she never spoke of stirring awake. She didn't know why this animal felt safe, or why her heart suddenly ached with something that felt dangerously close to belonging. That was the moment everything began to change.
The cafe incident should have ended quickly, but it didn't. The billionaire stayed longer than planned, watching the waitress move through her shift, while the dog refused to return fully to his side. Eventually, she was asked to take a break, the manager concerned about customers and liability. She sat at a small table near the back, hands folded tightly, while the dog lay beside her feet as if it had always belonged there. The billionaire sat across the room, pretending to read messages he never answered, his mind spiraling into a storm of thoughts he hadn't faced in years. He remembered the hospital corridors, the smell of antiseptic, the unbearable stillness of a room where a child's laughter should have been. He remembered holding a tiny hand, promising protection he had failed to give. Those memories were locked away for survival, but the dog's behavior had cracked the door open, and now they poured through him, relentless. He requested her name through the manager, then immediately regretted it. When he heard it, something inside him fractured. It was the same name, not uncommon, but close enough to wound. Coincidences existed, he told himself. They had to, otherwise the implications were too devastating to consider. He left the cafe with the dog finally following, but it looked back repeatedly, whining softly. That night, sleep refused him. The dog paced. Memories collided. He found himself pulling out old documents, photographs he hadn't touched in years. His hands shook as he studied a picture of a woman he had once loved deeply, a woman whose life had ended before he could make things right, a woman who had disappeared carrying secrets he never knew. The next day he returned, not as a billionaire this time, but as a man searching for answers. He watched from a distance as the waitress worked, noting the way she avoided eye contact, the exhaustion etched into her posture. When the dog saw her again, the reaction was immediate and undeniable. This time the dog whimpered, tail wagging slowly, eyes full of emotion that felt heartbreakingly human. He arranged a private meeting through the manager, offering assistance framed as concern after the incident. The waitress nearly refused, fear etched into her face, but something compelled her to agree. She had learned long ago that life rarely offered kindness without cost, yet something about this situation felt different, heavier. The meeting was brief but revealing. She spoke of growing up in foster homes, of never knowing her father, of losing her mother young. She spoke without self-pity, as if pain were a language she had learned to speak fluently. The billionaire listened, each word landing like a stone in his chest. Timelines overlapped, details aligned, the coincidences stacked too perfectly to ignore. The dog sat between them, calm now, as if its task was nearly complete. The truth came slowly, not as an accusation, but as a realization neither of them wanted. A past hidden by fear and misunderstanding. A child believed lost, surviving without knowing she had been searched for in quiet desperation.
The waitress's hands shook as understanding dawned, her entire identity trembling under the weight of revelation. Tears came then, unstoppable from both sides, years of absence, of unanswered questions, of lives shaped by silence. The billionaire felt something inside him heal and break at the same time, joy tangled with grief, hope with regret. He had missed everything, yet somehow, impossibly, fate had brought her back through the one soul pure enough to recognize her without proof. The dog had known, from the first breath, from the first scent.
The days that followed were not filled with instant happiness, but with careful, fragile rebuilding. Trust did not come easily. Love had to be relearned. The waitress struggled to accept a reality so different from the life she knew, while the billionaire faced the consequences of years lost to misunderstanding and fear. Yet through it all, the dog remained the bridge between them, ever present, quietly reminding them that some bonds exist beyond logic. He helped her not with money at first, but with time, listening, learning, apologizing without excuses. She learned that wealth did not erase loneliness, and he learned that resilience could grow in the harshest conditions. Slowly, walls lowered, smiles appeared, laughter returned, tentative but real. One evening, as they walked together through a park, the dog trotting happily ahead, the weight of the past finally loosened its grip. The waitress realized she was no longer alone in the world. The billionaire realized that redemption was not found in success, but in showing up when it mattered most. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your support helps stories like this reach others who need hope. And before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us, do you believe that destiny sometimes uses the most unexpected messengers to reunite broken hearts? The dog stopped again, just like that first day, but this time it wasn't refusing to leave. It simply looked back at them, tail wagging, eyes peaceful. Its job was done. Love had found its way home. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with thunder or light. Sometimes they walk quietly beside us on four legs, waiting for the exact moment to change everything.